Fidei.email, you don't need to compromise faith to participate in the modern world. Instead of pushing ads and invasive practices that conflict with Catholic values, we built Fidei to reclaim technology for Christendom. When you use Fidei.email, you declare your commitment to technology that defends Christian tradition. Join Fidei.email today and use technology to advance Christendom.
If there was ever an old song that sums up a growing attitude among certain young people, it's this. It's hip to be square. Now, research data shows that young people today are, more than any other cohort, are tired of seeing, we'll say, marital activities on the screen in movies. They're tired of the woke stuff in the culture. They're tired of a lot of depraved popular music, and they just want to be normal. There are both good and disordered reasons for this, but this strange trend in the culture coincides with another strange but welcome trend. People, and especially younger people, are entering the Catholic Church and are being drawn to conservative and traditional forms of Catholicism. In the eyes of the world, being trad means you believe in God and you go to church. You maybe take a little bit of extra effort to dress a little more nicely. You don't wear pajamas in public, things like that. And this is now getting attention of course, church people, because of course it is. It was inevitable that this was going to happen. And we go to the Catholic Herald for this headline: Traditional Catholicism, the new cool for young Americans. The article is excellent, and it rejects the notion that this is merely a fad to be a traditional Catholic. And to be clear, what this article is saying definitely goes beyond traditional Catholicism, and it includes the most conservative elements of the post-conciliar reforms of the faith. All that is being traditional in the eyes of the world. Waiting until you're married to do certain things is being trad now. Not consuming online impure films and wrestling with associated bad habits is trad now. Believing in the God of the Bible and all the claims made about Jesus is itself trad now. That's how far things have gotten. It's a very loose definition of it, but that's how bad things have gotten. The article is excellent, comes highly recommended from some very high-profile Catholic figures in the traditionalist movement. So from the article, quote, "The incense is rising again, not just in Gothic cathedrals or Latin Mass enclaves, but in the hearts of young Americans who against every cultural current are swimming upstream toward Catholicism. It's a phenomenon that baffles secular elites and liberal Protestants alike. How in this age of deconstruction and digital nihilism could the church of hierarchy, ritual, and confession be considered of all things cool? Yes, it is. Quietly, steadily, and then suddenly. The Latin Mass is trending. Catechisms are bookmarked. Young adults are quoting Aquinas in the same breath as Camus. It's not ironic. It's not aesthetic. It's not cosplay. It's a revolt against rootlessness. Because what looks like a religious revival is also a cultural rebellion. We were told the future would be limitless, utterly empowering. We were told we'd be happiest with fewer rules, fewer roles, fewer traditions, just vibes. But the experiment failed. We're lonelier, sicker, spiritually starved. In place of meaning, we got algorithms. In place of transcendence, we got TikTok therapy. And beneath the saccharine haze of self-care, many young people feel the gnawing presence of something missing. Catholicism offers what the world cannot: structure, discipline, mystery. It doesn't whisper that you're perfect just the way you are. It demands transformation. It demands submission to something older, wiser, and greater than you. To be Catholic is to live inside a story, a 2,000-year-old blood-soaked, gold-threaded, world-shaping story. It has martyrs and miracles, saints and scoundrels, architecture that makes you weep, a God who became man, a carpenter who suffered for your sins, a virgin mother crowned in heaven. Try fitting that into a 15-second Instagram reel. For young Americans raised on Marvel movies and deconstructionist memes, the sheer audacity of Catholicism is intoxicating. It doesn't hedge its bets or dilute its claims. It says this is the body, this is the blood, this is the truth. And young people, weary of euphemisms and moral relativism, are saying, Amen. The church, for all its failings, never promised to be perfect. It promised to be true. And for many converts, especially those raised in sterile megachurches or atheist households, Catholicism offers the one thing missing from every spiritual but not religious gathering: gravity. Well, I recommend you read the rest of that article for yourself. It's absolutely true, but it's based on a claim. And the claim is that you have large numbers of people entering the church right now. And it posits this claim in the United States, but then I'm going to show you this goes well beyond America. So we go to Daniel on X. It's a random user posted this beautiful thing. The source here is the Bishops' Conference of France. And what you're looking at here is what is causing France's improbable adult baptism boom, they ask. Adult baptisms at Easter's ranked in the thousands. Let's go back to 2015. Just under 4,000 baptisms for adults in France for the whole country. Goes up a little bit the next year, up a little bit the next year, dips a little bit, but still higher than 2 years earlier. Generally a positive trend upward. 2021, it drops noticeably. We all know why that happened. And then it just skyrockets afterwards. Why is that? There's a number of reasons. If you're familiar with the geopolitical situation in Europe, how the new Europeans, as some euphemistically call them, have caused chaos there. You've seen it in their electoral politics, too, that suddenly people are turning away from the progressive attitudes of their parents. In France, it seems that people are going to church in larger numbers. And we get a little more data on this. You go to Catholic Arena, posting this on X. What is happening in France? Just in the past 6 months, Notre Dame reopens. Record baptisms at Easter. Record attendances for Ash Wednesday. 13,500 teenagers at Lourdes Youth Festival. 15,000 soldiers on pilgrimage at Lourdes. 20,000 young people are on pilgrimage at Chartres, which ended yesterday. I have video for all that. I'll have the links for all of these in the show notes. Return to tradition.org if you want to take a look at these for yourself. But what is happening in France? It appears that it's the same kind of thing happening across the West, because, and this one made me very happy when I saw this story, and that is from the National Catholic Register. Headline: Record number of adults baptized in Dublin as faith grows among young Irish. In Dublin in May, 52 lay people received certificates as catechists. That is a picture, mostly young people. That is what you want your parishes to look like. Mostly the young. And in Ireland, this is incredibly good news for this to be happening. This is worth going over a little bit in detail, so bear with me here. Quote, 30-year-old Mahon McMahon was baptized during the Easter Vigil Mass in his parish at Rathfarnham in Dublin this year. He was one of 70 adults baptized into the Catholic faith that evening in the Dublin Archdiocese, the largest number of adult baptisms recorded there. The recent upturn in the number of people being received into the Catholic faith in Ireland can be partly explained by young adults who are seeking and searching, people who are looking for a home, somewhere they can be accompanied and grow in faith, according to Patricia Carroll, director of the Office for Mission and Ministry in the Archdiocese. The new Irish are coming from other countries, then the others are Irish, Carroll told CNA. A lot of parents have decided that they wouldn't bring their children through the sacraments, so that generation is starting to come to the fore, seeking and searching, looking for something. She highlighted one development she considers integral and essential. In our diocese, our youth and pastoral teams have focused a lot on training catechists. That means places are growing where you can come to get your catechesis. In Dublin in May, 52 lay people received certificates as catechists. The Archdiocese offers a dedicated course in catechetics for those who feel called to the ministry of catechist, including people already doing some parish catechesis and members of parish sacramental teams. Auxiliary Bishop Donald Roche of Dublin, speaking at the presentation of the diocesan certificate in catechesis, Our Lady of Victory's Church in Ballymun, said, "We are making great progress in the task of opening the hearts and minds of those who have come to the door of the church to look in, not sure who or what they will encounter inside." Speaking at the 800th anniversary of the canonization of Lawrence O'Toole in France in May, Archbishop of Dublin, Dermot Farrell, directly referenced the phenomenon of faith resurgence happening in Ireland. Beneath the surface in Dublin, another story emerges, albeit faintly, he said. Small numbers of young adults are discovering their faith and gathering to celebrate it. Dublin had the largest group ever seeking adult baptism during this Jubilee of Hope. Most of these people are young adults who have come to Ireland, and it is among the new Irish that renewal is most evident. You see the picture here. People are returning to the faith. It's not just in America. Why is this happening? Again, it's the world has gotten so over the top in depravity that people have had enough. You can see this everywhere. I started noticing this in the beer controversy from last year, but also before that, suddenly NFL viewership collapsed when they got political. I noticed this when Hollywood movies suddenly weren't making money anymore. And I noticed this with the backlash to certain retailers selling certain kinds of products for the month of June. We all saw it. People snapped. It had enough. And it's happening in electoral politics across the Western world, to the point where the established powers that be are pushing back in blatantly undemocratic ways. And let them do it. You let them do it, because it shows you who they are, and they will reap the whirlwind for it. We can go back here to America, and another National Catholic Register article for this one. It's nice being able to use a National Catholic Register, by the way, because they don't hit you with tons of ads that pop up and get gross. Their headline, "Welcome Home. Many dioceses see sharp growth in converts to Catholic faith this Easter. Outreach, Eucharistic revival seen as factors for positive trend." Now, to be clear, this article isn't just about the United States. This goes well beyond America, in fact, with what they're talking about here. That young people across the West are starting to return to the faith their parents and grandparents abandoned, or that their parents and grandparents practice in a very disordered fashion. From the article, quote, "For the Burns family, the path to the Catholic Church this Easter vigil started with a funeral. Steve Burns, 43, a mechanical engineer who lives in Avon Lake, Ohio, was raised a Free Methodist. His wife, Corinne, 42, a homemaker who worked for years in a wholesale greenhouse, was raised a Catholic but stopped going to Catholic church when she was an adolescent. Their son, Ryan, 12, hasn't been baptized. But when Corinne's beloved Uncle Tony died in March 2023, she attended his funeral mass and immediately felt at home. For the first time, I felt right, like I was in the right spot again, as she told the Register. In my head, I was thinking, I've got to get my family in here too." That's what's happening this weekend. Steve and Ryan went through the parish's conversion program this past year. Steve plans to be formally received into the Catholic Church during the 9 p.m. Easter Vigil Mass at St. Joseph's in Avon Lake, followed by confirmation and First Communion. At the same Mass, Ryan plans to be baptized, followed by confirmation and First Communion. They're part of a bumper crop in the Diocese of Cleveland, which expects 812 converts at Easter time 2025, which is about 50% higher than in 2024 and about 75% higher than in 2023, meaning in 2023 to 2024 also was like something like 50% increase. It's so high that the diocese had to move its rite of election, during which prospective converts meet with the bishop near the beginning of Lent to declare their intention to join the church, to the city's public auditorium and conference center because the cathedral wasn't big enough to accommodate the nearly 3,000 attendants, including converts, sponsors, family, and friends, according to Nancy Fishburne, the diocese's executive director of communications. Cleveland is part of what appears to be a spike in conversions in various parts of the U.S. It's too soon to say what total number of converts to the Catholic Church will be nationwide in 2025, as many dioceses don't report official figures until later in the year. But the Register contacted all 175 Latin Rite territorial dioceses in the country earlier this spring and received comparably year-over-year figures from about 3 dozen. The numbers show that significant increases in converts are common and widespread. Many are seeing increases not just since last year, but also since 2019, the year before the whole world decided to close shop, led to sharp decreases in conversions. Nor is the U.S. alone. France, for instance, is expecting a surge in adult baptisms this year, at more than 10,000, the highest number since the national annual report on such figures began in 2002. And England is also seeing a faith revival. What do you say? What do you make of that? What is going on? And one of the things I've seen is people try to say this is the effect of the new pope. Well, he wasn't pope yet at Easter, so I wouldn't put credit there. It is worth noting that almost immediately after his election, queries to Augustinian orders skyrocketed for vocations, and other people started querying parishes about becoming Catholic. So there may be something there, but this phenomenon we're seeing up till now has been going on for years, but it's becoming obvious, and it's wonderful. Honestly, this is unequivocally good news. What's driving this? Well, in a word, the world has overtly embraced darkness, and it's gotten blatantly obvious even to people not religious in the past few years. And in the church, we are not immune to this problem. The world has embraced darkness. And unfortunately, elements within the church are worldly themselves and have embraced the same darkness too. Catholic schools, some parishes, some universities. We'll find in those places worldly, depraved values taught as if they are Catholic values. So Catholic politicians acting completely contrary to the faith, and many bishops. People are rejecting these things in unbelievably large numbers. But the church is itself not immune to the problem, and Catholics, both new and well-seasoned converts, and cradle Catholics need to know this is a huge problem and act accordingly. So I ask you to brace yourself for this story that is an example of this. Go to the Wall Street Journal, and you know it's bad when the Wall Street Journal is commenting on negative things happening in the church, because this definitely was warranting their attention. Got to be careful with this story. Headline, Santa Clara University's crazy idea of reproductive stuff. To become a therapist, I'm expected to watch videos involving stuff that goes on behind closed doors involving leather and submit essentially a record of everything I like to do you don't tell people about. Santa Clara University is a Jesuit school, ladies and gentlemen. That's a Catholic school doing this. On paper, Catholic. Obviously, it's a school, it's a program at the very least run by apostates and lukewarm heretics. There's no defending that. This isn't merely some inclination to some disordered private sins we're talking about here. This is celebration of those sins, making them normal and elevating them to something good. Now, obviously, I have to be careful about saying these kinds of things on our platform. Our host likes to keep things PG-13, and I generally like to keep things in that area too. If you don't keep it PG-13, YouTube starts to notice you, and you don't want that. This isn't a secular school again we're talking about here, though. It's a Catholic university that has completely gone off the rails. And you're going to find out just how bad this is as we carefully tread into stormy waters here. Quote, I'm a grad student in marriage and family therapy at Santa Clara University, a Jesuit, of course, institution. Recently, I walked out of class. Professor Vey had just played a video of a female influencer engaging in leather-related activities that should be left behind closed doors if you're going to do them at all. I'm not endorsing that. When the lights came up, the professor smiled and asked if we wanted to try it ourselves. Maybe it was a crass joke to break the tension, but I didn't want to find out if a live demonstration was next. What began as a simple accommodation request in a required course turned into a case study in the reshaping of therapy training, not by science, but by critical theory, a worldview that filters human experience through left-wing assumptions about power, oppression, and identity, particularly regarding race, gender, and stuff of the flesh. The first time I enrolled in the course, students were assigned to read adult literature and a book called The Guide to Getting It On, featuring very graphic pictures. We were told to write an 8 to 10 page comprehensive autobiography of this kind of stuff, which would include memories of that kind of activity in our own lives, including stuff you go to confession for, and future goals with an action plan, all uploaded to a third-party platform for grading. The syllabus allowed that students are not required to disclose anything that causes extreme discomfort, but that disclaimer ring hollow attached to an assignment requiring us to discuss such personal matters. On ethical and religious grounds, I requested an alternative assignment. Kerry Watson, the department chairman, denied my request, suggesting I change my plans and pursue a different type of license. In an email, she described the course as an inoculation of sorts, exposing you to content you might come across as a licensed therapist. She told me that if I did encounter such things in a professional setting, I could assuredly communicate that discomfort to clients and decline to work with them. So why did it have to be part of my training? It goes on like that. At a Catholic school. A Jesuit school is training people to help people with troubled marriages in ways that will just light them on fire, destroy them completely, and leave nothing but ashes behind. The church is in crisis, folks. The church is in crisis. For those who want nothing but happy news and things, the church is in deep crisis. And it doesn't look like things are immediately turning around. Damon Keller says we need more Michael Davies types being baptized. Oh, yes, we do. Michael Davies was a treasure. Pray for the repose of his soul. He passed away some years ago. But this is a Jesuit school we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. A Jesuit school. A Catholic university on paper. And they wouldn't let a student who said, no, I don't want to participate in this stuff, leave that class, do an alternative assignment. You would think that a Catholic university would be training Catholic people to do Catholic things in the professional world. Marriage counseling is a completely good thing, unless it's done wrong, and then you can cause grave harm. Let no man tear asunder what God hath brought together. And the therapists coming out of that school, if they're applying those principles that they're being taught, they could be doing more than just tearing asunder something. They could be leading people to believing that they are doing, if they're Catholics going to therapists like that, they could be being led down a dark road by having a therapist tell them, oh, you should do this in your private life. It will help bring you back together and heal things that you would normally not do as a Catholic. We're not talking about some of the things people debate about, things suitable to the married state or not. We're talking things that no sensible Catholic has questions about. But now you're having an authority figure with the imprimatur of the church telling people this stuff. It's a Jesuit school. When I say the world is in darkness, we sound weird when we object to this stuff. But again, as I told you recently, many people came into the church this year. Larger numbers than we've ever seen. The antidote to this stuff is, of course, conversion. So pray for the conversion of those responsible for that program or the leadership of that school, so that they'll bring in actual Catholics to teach those programs. Traditionalist Catholic says that Santa Clara professor spoke out of both sides of her mouth. Yes. Oh, you can get an alternative assignment, knowing full well that the hierarchy of the school was not going to let that happen under any circumstances. Richard says Jimmy Aiken is goofy. Yeah, well, you know. All right, folks. Curious what you think about all this. 3 Days of Darkness. Yes, I'm seeing your comments. I'm curious, though, what you think about all this. So let me know in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot, too. And if you've ever thought about supporting the work we do here at Return to Tradition, options in the description box below, all asked for by viewers of this channel. Patreon, Subscribe Star, the join button, which is like sometimes attached directly to your subscribe button. They're all options below. Do help keep these daily messages coming. As always, pray for the church and pray for anybody we spoke about negatively in this video. Today, we're not trying to make you angry at people per se, but to pray for their conversion. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.